They're just like going on weeks, trying everything, nothing seems to work, and it's like, okay, my skin is like incredibly raw. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Drinking water and I'm still reacting. I'm not doing anything, not consuming anything, and I'm still reacting.
Like 3 days before it really started itching, where I could feel the texture of my skin changing. So like I knew it was coming soon.
I still feel like I need to smoke something because I keep trying to do stuff and then I end up overexerting myself and my brain hurts.
Which I am convinced must be the problem, even if everything will assure you that that couldn't possibly have any effect. Like, I have an illness where I react to things where people swear it's not a problem.
So, where I'm at now, there's Cannabis, which is accessible to anyone. So, I started calling regular cannabis Canna Dark, and then when I finally got access to medical cannabis, I started calling it Canna Dim. Basically to reflect the level of THC like ratio to CBD. The thing is, the Canna Dim I can only use for a few days before the Urticaria breaks out and I start itching everywhere. So what I tend to do is, if I run out of Canna Dark, I'm gonna be completely miserable, but I think it is good to have like a few days where I take a complete break, like maybe up to a week. And then if my replacement order still hasn't arrived, I try to smoke the Canna Dim for a few days and hope that the Canna Dark will arrive before I started shooting. But it's usually not the case. And once it's active again, it just, likes to stay that way. But luckily I happen to have some LDN on hand from a Urticaria episode from long ago, like last year. Whenever I started itching from the Canna Dim, I basically just started taking LDN again, and at some point I decided like it's probably best if I just continue taking LDN because there are other potential benefits. So now I'm back on the LDN. I'm still itching from the Canna Dim regardless, and now it seems like I'm also itching from the Canna Light, which is something that I also suspected even last year was happening. I don't know, it's like non-stop itching. It started on like my between my lower back and my upper butt and now it's spread like pretty much everywhere. It's like on my sides, my stomach, my thighs. I'm kind of like scratching my upper arms right now, even my face. My palms itch a lot too, which is, I like scratch them, like I rub them against the corner of my laptop. But yeah, this really sucks. Like, I'm always so tempted to just stop with the Canna Dark because it's like too expensive to buy it. Having your own plants is a lot more cost effective, but I don't, so my only option is to buy it, and I keep thinking like, oh yeah, come on, like I can survive without it. I did for most of my life, but now is kind of different, and I hate having that as like an additional monthly expense that is really kind of non-negotiable. It's like just too much discomfort. Like I'm feeling miserable. The GI problems are so much worse, where it's like I can cut everything out, and basically down to just like one food with no seasoning, and I'm still reacting, or like I'm drinking water and I'm still reacting. I'm not doing anything, not consuming anything, and I'm still reacting. It's really like there's no way to stop reacting and have a better quality of life without the Canna Dark. And it's nice to have the Canna Dim and the Canna Light because like mentally I feel better, but then when this happens, like obviously overall I would say it's probably like net negative. Like just not fun. I feel really lucky to have the LDN now, because I feel like even though I'm like the itching kind of comes in waves, it feels much more under control. Like it's not like I'm about to like scratch my skin raw like I used to. I feel like it's like a light kind of scratching. I really think it's time to clip my nails, but it seems like an advantage here because I can reach a little bit farther, and I think they, when they're so long, the ends are a little bit softer, which is nice. And yeah, like I'm just kind of like gently scratching, and I really think that is thanks to the LDN, but I'm running low on LDN. I don't know how long it's gonna be till I get more, and I think this will be living hell if I don't get more in time and I'm still itching. And all of this could be avoided if I just had like a steady supply of Canna Dark, or I could go stay in another place where I have access to medical cannabis that's actually real cannabis. Like they give you the good stuff, or like better than recreational quality, instead of the stuff they give you here, where it's like very minimal, very restricted, and I'm guessing because of my reaction probably uses pesticides or something. So yeah, if I had to rate the medical cannabis or the like, publicly available recreational cannabis. Well, I mean, it's not even like really recreational. It's just like it's available to anyone, but it's like, yeah, it's really just like very light. Like if I had to rate the Canna Dim or the Canna Light, I wouldn't score it that high, considering I would like to say I'm just waiting for it to run its course, but I still feel like I need to smoke something because I keep trying to do stuff and then I end up overexerting myself and my brain hurts, and I feel like the only like alleviation for that is to smoke. So it's like a relief for the brain pain in exchange for an itchy body. Like, I know I really shouldn't, but it's like I I can't stop myself from trying to do things. So yeah, this is where I end up. And you know, sometimes the mail is incredibly slow and it can take months for the stuff to arrive, even though it's not really that far away. And you just have to kind of deal with it in the meantime and hope that your skin can hold up that long, you know. Kind of makes me feel like I need to prioritize moisturizing a little bit more, because this is, you know, the constant scratching is very drying. So, I mean, that's another thing to add to the list of things to do that is very exhausting. You know, like I took a bath yesterday morning so that I could, like, you know, have my pores open and moisturize afterward, and I feel like I really didn't stay in there long enough for my pores to be really open, but I was trying to exert the least amount of energy possible by, you know, taking like the shortest bath I could. And I mean, I was like exhausted afterward. Like, I just like completely crashed for hours, and that was like, you know, half my day. So, you know, I think if I could stop itching and not have to worry so much about taking baths and moisturizing like every few days, that would be great.
So, after that last clip was filmed, I did run out of LDN, and I was still trying to play around with the Cannabis and see if I could find a way to make it work. Like, if I take it just once a day, or once every other day, once every 3 days, whatever. And I was preparing to see one of my specialists, so I was taking like really detailed notes and in like putting everything in my calendar to prepare for that visit. So, you know, I have these notes where like I was taking the Canadim for like a week and a half, twice a day. And it was like 3 days before it really started itching, where I could feel the texture of my skin changing. And so like I knew it was coming soon. And then like the day before it started itching, it was kind of like this very light tingly feeling, like what you get when you're trying to like sit still and meditate. And then on like the third day, suddenly I was like full on scratching. And I guess I was playing around with that a bit too long, because it ended up lasting like 7 weeks. And it was horrible, and it was just like, you know, I'm trying anything I can to get it to stop. I even had like a round of prednisone, and I was taking, you know, already like the base dose was more than I've ever taken, and I was taking even more than that, just to keep it under control for like max 12 hours. It was just like going on weeks, trying everything, nothing seems to work, and it's like, okay, you know, my skin is like incredibly raw. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then finally I realized that the same way that I mentioned in the last video, that like sometimes I would react to the can of light, I was well, okay, confession time. I in the last clip I also mentioned that I didn't have plants, but in the meantime I do. And when the plants needed to be pruned, I would take the leaves and eat them, like as on part of a crepe or a pancake or tea or something like that. And after a few days, like the cannabinoids start to kind of build up, and it gets to where I'm getting high off of just eating leaves. So it was like the perfect solution for me to have something where I can get that dose from, where it's not the Cannabis that causes this reaction, and it's not the Canna Light or Canna Dark where I have to pay for it out of pocket. You know, so that seemed like perfect. But what I realized was, I think because this was already triggered by the Cannabis, that I was reacting to the leaves too. So that was why even taking the prednisone, and even after like all this time with no Cannabis, I was still having this really bad reaction. Finally did manage to get it under control to where I was able to go back to eating the leaves without any problem at all. And then eventually even use the Cannabis without any issue. But that is going to be for another video. And the last thing I wanted to add on to what I said before was that they actually don't use pesticides on the Cannabis, but they use this irradiation process, which I am convinced must be the problem, even if everything will assure you that that couldn't possibly have any effect. Like, I have an illness where I react to things where people swear it's not a problem. And I have a grow light for my plants, and I know if I dip my head in front of that light even for a second, it makes me sick. So I think it's not really that far-fetched to say that you know, this process is something that I'm reacting to, or that I was reacting to. Yeah, so now I'm finally able to enjoy the prescription cannabis that I call Cannabis without any issues, which is amazing. And I will try to get into how I got the Urticaria reaction to finally completely stop, and how all of these triggers became safe again as soon as possible. So stick around for that, and hopefully I will see y'all soon. Bye.